9AY had the chance to experience what real reporters do every day.
It was difficult, but it was great to know what pressure reporters are under, wasn't it, Chloe?
Yes, some groups got on particularly well, like Sarah, Victoria and Sarah. In fact, let's see how the reports went. Graffiti and street art is a subject that divides people. Is it art or is it vandalism?
We decided to investigate.
Here's Tim McCarthy, a street artist from Belfast. Tell me about some of the work you do.
I do quite a lot of work for art galleries, and I also work quite a lot with youth groups, doing big mural projects in the likes of housing estates, and it's a way of working with young people so that they can give something positive and creative back to their communities.
Why did you choose street art over other types?
I suppose there's a certain amount of ego involved. You love people looking at your art, and if you're doing it on the side of a wall, lots of people get to see it. And with street art, you can do humorous messages, you can do something that's just beautiful visually, you can do political messages, environmental messages, so you have a lot of scope to put your art on a wall and get a lot of reaction back from it.
Do you always have permission when you work in a public space?
I do personally. I never need to break the law simply because I get commissioned to do work, and I've been doing this for so many years. People know who I am, know what I do, so I never feel the need to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and run up the railway tracks and spray my name up somewhere.
Is all graffiti art, or could some of it be seen as vandalism?
That's a big debate. Obviously, if you're creating any kind of art on someone else's wall and you don't have permission, then you are breaking the law.
Craigavon Council has a project ongoing which removes and tries to prevent graffiti. What do you think of that?
Well, this area doesn't really have a graffiti problem as such. There are bits and pieces, but you get that in any community or any society. Obviously, it's in the best interests of the council to clean up walls and so on, especially the stuff that's been done illegally. So from an environmental point of view, I have absolutely no issue with it whatsoever.
I'm here to have a word with Sarah Wilson about graffiti prevention. What is your opinion on graffiti?
Well, the Craigavon Police and Community Safety Partner's opinion is that graffiti is wrong, and it's about removing as much graffiti we have in the borough as possible.
What is your role in the prevention of graffiti?
Well, the prevention of graffiti, we do two strands really. First of all, we proactively remove graffiti from all surfaces throughout the borough, so we're very, very clear that that's a great preventative measure. What we do say is that if graffiti is removed up to 3 times in any one area, it generally will stay away. So that's very, very positive, and that's one of our prevention strands. The other prevention strand that we utilise is our programme called Spray is Not the Way, and it's a really proactive method to engage with young people and to look at why they graffiti first of all, but also about how they can express themselves differently. So what we do is we show them like tasters of different types of other ways of expressing themselves, such as dance or playing the drums or kind of arts and crafts and things, and that's a really good way to say, well, this is a different way than expressing ourselves than spraying it on walls.
Maybe we need to decide for ourselves. Is graffiti art or is it vandalism? This is Victoria, Sarah
And Sarah.
reporting for BBC School Report. Wasn't that great?
Yes, I didn't know so much about graffiti. Nathan, Sarah, Brianna and Courtney also wrote an article about traffic wardens and mayhem. Let's read it now. Local businesses in Union Street, Lurgan, are losing due to footfall due to traffic. A number of parking tickets have been handed out to customers by traffic wardens, as customers are parking on yellow lines outside the shop. We decided to look further into the story. We managed to contact the owner, Susie McClune, of Andrew's Paint Shop in Lurgan. We asked her to comment on her view of her own perspective. Susie quoted, "We need somewhere to load and unload goods, but the workers and the customers are getting parking tickets as there are double lines." She added, "It affects the local business, especially ours. The businesses are hoping that the council will take in the issue into consideration and will provide parking, loading and unloading facilities for customers and workers." That was a great article. Well done.
Now we have Rebecca here, who's going to tell us a bit about her article.
Well, music and movies are an awful big part of our lives, so we decided to survey some Year 8 pupils in our school and ask them why they liked certain movies and songs.
So what were the results, Rebecca?
Well, it turned out that One Direction's One Way or Another was the favourite song with over half of the votes, and that the Skyfall movie was also the favourite movie. We contacted Extravision, and it turned out that Skyfall was also their most rented movie in the past month, as well as Argo and Taken 2.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now we have another video, this time by Sarah, Rachel and I. We were interviewing Mrs. Curry all about child protection. We are now here with Mrs. Curry and we're going to ask her a few questions about child protection. So Mrs. Curry, do you think child abuse is a growing problem in our world today? And if so, why?
Well, you do hear an awful lot of things on the news and in the media, and of course there are many children who feel some sort of emotional abuse, yes, and you do hear that social workers have lots of caseloads, and yes, I genuinely feel that more children are coming forward and expressing their concerns about various things that are happening to them. So I do believe it is growing. I think it was always there, but I think that maybe young people feel more empowered to speak now.
And personally, how do you feel about child abuse?
Well, how would anybody feel about child abuse? I would just like everybody to have a very happy childhood. I think that perhaps there's an awful lot of pressure on young people, you know, to look well, to perform in school, to do their level best. I think that you know, in some environments there's an awful lot of pressure on families as well, with high unemployment and high poverty too. You know, there are going to be issues. So I would like everybody to have a very just and equal life, but that's asking for something that isn't achievable. There will always be those children who have happy, established, sensible, sensitive families looking after them, and there will always be some children who just don't have that same level of protection and people to look after them.
And what is our school doing to prevent child abuse?
Well, I suppose prevent is maybe not the right word, but we do raise awareness about all the pastoral things that can be done throughout our school. We've got the REACH team, we've got a mentoring program, You're Taught PD. We have pastoral information for parents and for young people throughout the year. We have policies in place. We have a safeguarding team. I would be the designated teacher for child protection. We have a deputy designated teacher who's our principal. We have excellent year heads, excellent form teachers. Every single member of the staff in school, teaching and non-teaching, would participate in a child protection course at the beginning of the year. So lots of things are in place, because the bottom line is we want every single child to be happy in our school so that they're achieving, and we want every child to feel confident enough so that they can speak to your form teacher, the counsellor. There are people in our school who you can speak to.
Thank you.
Now we're going to read our article, Abusing Child Protection. Recent studies have shown that a third of children from Northern Ireland suffering abuse wait at least 6 months to speak out for help. They delay calling the services which could offer help to them, like Childline or the NSPCC. One woman called the NSPCC worrying about a child in her neighbourhood, saying, "It's happened before, but I didn't pay much attention. But I've been woken up in the middle of the night by the mum screaming abuse and slamming doors. He's only a very young child, and you can hear him crying. Friends visiting me have heard it too. I just didn't know what to do about it. These figures clearly show that the amount of child abuse has increased over the last despairing years. Remember, there is always someone to talk to, always someone who will listen, and there's always someone who can help you. Now remember, if you're experiencing child abuse or know someone who is, don't hesitate to tell someone.
Our next article is about David Beckham becoming the ambassador in China. It was written by Matthew and Matthew. David Beckham has given Asia a lift after a horrendous match fixing scandal, which several players and officials were jailed. Last night, Beckham became the new football ambassador for China. Although Beckham is doing a great deed for the football, he's being paid £50 million a year for his new role. That was another excellent report, Matthew.
Another fantastic report was by Mark, Philip and Tyler. Here's a clip of them reading it themselves.
Violent video games gone viral. Our children are playing games that are legally too old for them to play, especially the ones with extremely violent content. Are they affecting their personal lives, their minds, or even causing them to act more violently towards their peers and their family?
Survey results. We carried out a detailed survey of 208 pupils. We discovered that the majority of pupils in Year 8 and Year 9 play video games that they are too young to play legally. Yet 59% of parents know the game's content also. Many people often play video games with their peers. Surprisingly, a clear majority of people feel that playing video games does not interfere with their schoolwork, social life, or even their sleep patterns.
We also carried out a survey of 12 teachers that were also from Lurgan Junior High School. To the contrary, the teachers answered that video games make people lose concentration in class, and they also said that many pupils appear to be sleepy, especially on Monday mornings.
David, a school technician, stated that in his personal experience of gaming, that video games definitely change your personality. He also stated that I played video games for far too long each day when I was younger.
In conclusion, in our modern day society, more and more young people are becoming addicted to video games. Also, video games clearly have an effect on your personality and can seriously affect your schoolwork, sleep patterns and minds.
Part of our video report, we would like to ask you a few questions, so would that be okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Could you tell us a bit about your gaming experience, like consoles or?
I've been playing computer games since I was very young indeed. Back in the 80s we had like one of these old consoles that took tapes, and it sort of progressed since then. We then had like an Apple Mac sometime after that, one of the old ones, and we played games on that, me and my brothers. And then we progressed to the likes of the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, and now I'm into all sorts of things, so Xboxes and all the rest of it, but I also tend to play a lot of my games on the PC.
How long, on average, would you play daily?
I'm quite busy these days, so I don't get as much time to play as I used to have, but there were times in the past I would have played for 16 hours a day, which was pretty tough going. It's the benefit of being a student. You have a lot of free time.
So, what would be your most played game?
My most played game would be World of Warcraft. I used to play it a lot when I was at university, and I have more play time on it than I would care to reveal.
Are the majority of your games violent?
A lot of the games I play have aspects of violence in them. They're not all violent though. The likes of the massive multiplayer ones I play are more oriented towards team gaming, that sort of thing. I also play a lot of puzzle games as well. But there's almost violence in almost every game in some shape or form. So even in the big team games, they're usually involving holding a gun and shooting at somebody, so there's always violence there.
How often do you buy a brand new game?
I try not to buy games too often because they can be quite expensive, but because I do a lot of PC gaming, There tends to be a lot of sales and a lot of different places you can get your games. So sometimes I would buy one every week, and then occasionally I wouldn't buy anything for months. And occasionally Steam come along with their Steam sale, and I'm like, oh yes, I want all these games.
Do you often play with your friends via video games?
Yes, I do. I've played with people all over the world, from all over the UK and from all over Europe, as well as a few people in America in the past. These days I play with a couple of people locally as well.
At times, do you think that video games interfere with your sleep patterns?
Yes, they do and have done a lot in the past. These days work seems to interfere with playing games more than that, but certainly at university there were many a times when I should have been doing coursework but I was playing games instead, or revising and playing games. They can do. I know from personal experience I have chosen to play games instead of sleeping many a time, and I know working in this school at the minute I hear lots of stories about kids sitting up to all hours playing games when they should be sleeping.
Thank you very much for letting us interview.
Great job. Rachel, how do you think the day went?
Really well, actually. It gave me a great taster of what reporters do every day. Why don't we ask Shania and Nathan what they thought of today's experience? So Shania, how did you think the day went?
I thought the day went very well and was very successful. We ended up with some really good reports.
And what was your article about?
Our article was about how violent scenes are becoming more frequent on our TV screens. And we basically just talked about what programmes that involve violence, and we carried out a survey of how many people watch TV programmes with violence in it.
Thank you. And Nathan, what was your article about?
My article was about traffic wardens issuing out tickets outside businesses in Lurgan because customers were parked in double yellow lines. This was especially bothering traders in Union Street because the goods they sell are heavy and cannot be transported far.
And Nathan, what did you enjoy best today?
I thoroughly enjoyed researching the information and writing the reports.
Thank you. Now another video, this time by Katie and Lauren.
Andy Oakes is a former pupil of Lurgan Junior High School. He's also a singer-songwriter and so has decided to host a concert for us tonight. So Andy, tell us a bit about yourself in relation to music.
Okay, well, I think you've said it all very well. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been playing music since I was 16. Seems to be quite a while ago now. And I used to go to this school. It's just really cool to be here and doing a concert tonight. So that's pretty much it, really, at the minute.
How did you come to love music?
I think I get that from my dad. My dad was always involved in music, and when I was growing up, he was always in a band playing, and then had loads of records that he'd be playing, so just always seemed to be hearing music when I was growing up, and so I just really got to like it.
Did you enjoy Lurgan Junior High School?
Yeah, I really did, actually. Yeah, it was good fun. And yeah, it seems so nice just to be back and having a walk around the school again. But really did. It's really, really good times here. And I actually liked all of my teachers. I don't think there was one teacher I didn't like.
Wow. What type of music do you play?
Oh, interesting. It's kind of changed a lot, I think, over the years. The last album we recorded, which we'll be playing tonight, a lot of songs from. I suppose it has more of a rock country kind of feel to it. I really like the sound that comes out of Nashville as one of my favourite type of genres of music. Not the kind of country and western country, but definitely the kind of rock, country rock, kind of pop country. So I think probably if I'm going to try and put a category on it, let's call it rock pop country.
Cool. How and when did you form your band?
Ooh, well, the band are always changeable. So I work with and know a lot of different musicians. So I know a lot of drummers and bass guitarists and electric guitarists. So pretty much I tend to pull in the musicians that I need for whatever gig that we have on. this band actually that I'm working with are probably the closest thing I have to becoming a regular band at the minute. There's a lead guitarist that I always use and my backing vocalist. She pretty much comes with me for most gigs that I do. So, but it kind of can change sometimes. We're using a drummer tonight that we don't usually perform with because our regular drummer couldn't make it. But they're pretty much guys I know that are around, and so if I need to get a different musician in, I just kind of pick up the phone and see who's free.
Great. How long have you been playing music for?
Way too long. I mean, you weren't even born. That's how scary it is. Well, I think I started when I was 16. So that's a long time ago now. So it's well over 25 years, probably more than that. And I went to a concert in Shankill Parish Church here in the town by a guy called Garth Hewitt. And I didn't play any instruments at that stage, and I kind of liked music but didn't know how to play anything. And he just turned up and did like an hour and a half, 2 hours of a gig with just himself on acoustic guitar. And I remember just being so captivated and so interested in what he did. And the one thing that I left that concert with was a thought that I could do that. So I went home, and I think that week started to learn how to play the guitar. And not long after that, began to write my first songs. So it's been quite a while. It seems like forever now.
What is the music industry like?
It's pretty difficult, actually. I've had some experience with doing some work in Nashville, and did some work with some songwriters out there, and had conversations with people who are at a higher level in the music industry than I'm at. And it's pretty hard. You have to work very, very hard. I mean, it's exciting. Doing shows and doing gigs is fantastic, and really I'm in it because I just love to make people happy. And there's no better feeling for me than to sing and to play and for people to enjoy that. But the whole industry is really hard. You really have to work very hard, and there's a lot of things to do, and not everything works out the way that you think it's going to work out. And there's only a very small percentage of people who really make it big. But that's not to kind of put people off, because it's good at the same time. But like anything, any industry that you work in, you have to really put a lot of work into it and concentrate on it, and just work hard.
What aspirations do you have for you and your band?
Well, we just want to play more. We want to get out in front of people. That's kind of the only aspirations that I have. Like when I was probably, starting out 16, 17, I think you always start out with aspirations that you want to really make it big, and everybody wants to make it big. But kind of the older I've gotten, I think the thing that really means more to me is just getting an opportunity to play for people, and like I've said, just to make them happy, to give them kind of a good time at night, and maybe share some stuff in between songs of how I've written some songs, and maybe that can help them. But just, I think, to play as much as we can, to get in front of people whenever we can, and be able to kind of play our music.
That's great. Do you have any tips for anyone that would hope to pursue music?
Yeah, like I said, just work hard at it. Keep doing it. There's going to be loads of knockbacks. And if you're looking to get into the music industry, there's always going to be things that will disappoint you. But that's not any reason to give up. Always believe in yourself. And always think, to yourself, I'm doing the right thing. And do it because you love it. And don't chase money. And don't chase fame. Just do it because you love the music. And that's the best advice I think I can get, because the best things that happen in life always happen to those people who are just doing what they do because they love it. And I think the other piece of advice I would have is have fun. I mean, if you can't have fun, you're doing whatever you're doing, I don't think there's any point in doing it. It's really got to make you feel good as well. So I think that's probably the best advice I can give.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome, Katie. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Well done, Katie and Lauren.
Our last article is by Charlotte and Catherine. It's on child obesity. Unfortunately, there is no mystery. Quite simply, many children do little exercise and eat a diet that's packed with junk food. Statistics show 92% of schools in America don't have daily physical education classes all year round. Also, the typical American teenager spends approximately 4 to 5 hours a day watching TV or using electronic devices. In nearly half of cases where a child is obese, one or both of the parents are overweight as well. It is mainly an issue with diet and exercise. Too many children are eating foods high in fat and sugar, and this needs to be reduced. Exercise is also an issue. Fewer children are outside playing games, sports, but instead spends hours on their Xbox. Great job, guys. Child obesity is such a growing problem.
That's right, but moving on. Other reports we had, which unfortunately we have no videos for, are Super Sporty School, Have an Open Mind, Geneva Motor Show, A Hamster Found in a Blizzard, 1952 Olympic Medal Stolen, Locust Buffet, and Crisis in Cyprus.
What a great day it has been. I hope everyone who has took part has enjoyed it. If you want to see any of the other videos or any of the other articles that have been written today, after 4 o'clock you can go onto the website and see them for yourself.
Thank you for watching.